We have a SQL server on IaaS VM on Azure and another VM in same VNet where we will install our Data Studio and integration service using which we will migrate test backup database to SQL database hosted on Azure PaaS SQL Server. Similar method can be used to migrate database from on-prem to Azure as well. To connect our Data Studio to SQL Server, enter public IP of SQL Server along with port number on which it is listening. Ensure that you have allowed this connectivity in NSG of SQL Server as well. Enter username password and click on Connect. For initiating migration, click on Manage. Azure SQL Migration, New Migration, select database that you want to migrate and click on Next. On Assessment page, select target type, which is Azure SQL Database for us, and click on Azure Recommendation. You will get your recommendation in 10 minutes, however, you can continue longer for more accurate results, especially if load varies. Note that you will have to stop the assessment manually, or it will continue. You will get required metrics information for your database and recommended size and configuration details. Select the database and click on Next. On Next page, you will need to add your Azure account by clicking Link Account and logging with right credentials. Following that, you will see only those subscriptions and region in drop-down where you have target database type already created. So let us create our target Azure SQL database now. Search for Azure SQL Database, enter name and click on Create New Server as it doesn't exist in our case. Enter server name, region, authentication type and ID, select appropriate size and model from core or DTU based. Select required redundancy. Under networking, select public endpoint, allow Azure services to access database and add client IP from where you want to access it in firewall rule. You can change these settings even later. Leave rest of the default options and click on Create. Now in Data Studio, connect to target SQL Server using your credentials and select target database. On Next page, select Database Migration Service if already created using Data Studio, or click on Create New. Give name to your migration service and click on Create. For this, you should have Microsoft Data Migration Resource Provider registered with your subscription. Once it is created, you will get authentication keys, which you can use to register integration runtime installed on this or alternate server, which has connectivity to Azure target and source environment both. Once you see status as connected, click on Next. You can select the tables to be migrated from here, but before that your database schema should be migrated to target. You can use DACPack or SQL Database Project extension for the same. We will use DACPack export and import here. Install the extension. Click on Data Tier Application Wizard, select Export option and source server details along with location to store the DACPack file. While importing select target DB details, you can choose existing one or create new and click on Deploy DACPack. We have upgraded our existing DB with schema using DACPack in this case. To continue migrating our database, go back to Data Studio, select Table, run validation. Once passed, click on Next and start migration. You can track the migration status from Azure Portal, Data Migration Service. Note that your table should not be empty or you will get warning while migrating it. As we can see, we have 2 rows name and employee ID on source server with 3 rows and currently only schema on target with no values. Now as migration has been completed, we can see that required table have been migrated successfully and we can fetch or query our table details now.